The auction hall was huge and dirty. It smelled like old machines and broken dreams. Hundreds of different aliens filled the space. Their voices mixed together into a loud noise that hurt the ears. Old war machines stood in rows covered in dust and rust. Mining equipment sat broken in corners. Spacecraft parts were stacked against the walls. In the back of the hall, almost hidden in shadows, stood a combat walker. The machine was 12 feet tall. It had 2 legs like a person. Long ago, it had been painted silver and red. Those colors were the mark of the Corvathian elite guard. That was 300 years in the past. Now the walker looked terrible. Its legs were covered in rust. The armor had big dents and holes from old battles. One of its eyes hung loose, connected by just a few wires. The right arm should have held a plasma cannon. Instead, there was just an empty socket. Rust spread across its chest like a disease. The auctioneer was a Vrel. He had 4 arms and looked very bored. He pointed at the walker without much interest. This is Lot 347. It is a Corvathian K-series combat walker. Some parts still work. Many systems are broken. The reactor core works at 30%. You should probably just melt it down for scrap metal. Starting bid is 200 credits. Nobody said anything. A few aliens looked at the walker like it was garbage. Someone in the crowd laughed. The sound was wet and nasty. 100 credits? The auctioneer tried again. He sounded even more bored now, still nothing. More silence. 50 credits. Someone must need spare parts. A young human woman stood in the back corner. She was standing on her toes trying to see over the crowd. Her name was Katie Morrison. She was 24 years old. Her brown hair was pulled back in a simple tail. Her jacket had grease stains all over it. For the last 6 years, she had worked as a mechanic on different space stations. She had saved every credit she earned. Katie stared at the warwalker. Her eyes looked sad. Avrel, standing next to her, noticed. "Are you crying?" the alien asked. Its third eye blinked on its own. "No," Katie said. But her eyes were wet. "Look at it. Look how they are treating it. It is broken machinery. It is not alive. Why are you upset?" Katie did not answer. She was thinking about her grandfather. He used to tell her stories about cavalry horses, about the bond between a soldier and his horse, about animals that carried warriors into battle and brought them home safe. Her grandfather had worked with horses in the military before they stopped using them. "That thing carried soldiers," Katie said quietly. "It protected people. It served in battles. And now they are making fun of it." The Vrel made a sound like rocks in water. That was how his species shrugged. 50 credits. Last chance. Going once, Katie's hand shot up before she could think. 50 credits! The auctioneer's 4 eyes turned to look at her. He seemed surprised. Then he smiled. It was not a nice smile. He had too many teeth. Sold. To the human who has more heart than brain. Laughter spread through the crowd. Katie felt her face get hot. But she kept her head up. She walked to the payment station. She transferred 50 credits. It was more than she wanted to spend today. But it was still a small part of her savings. An hour later, the crowd was gone. Katie walked up to the warwalker. It looked even worse up close. The metal was cold when she touched it. It had pits and scars everywhere. Some of the damage came from energy weapons. Plasma burns, she thought. "Hey there," she said softly. She felt silly talking to a machine. "I am Katie. I guess I own you now." The walker did not respond. Its reactor made a weak humming sound, just enough to keep basic systems running. The working eye was dark and dead. A worker came over. He was a brevet with copper-colored scales. "You want this loaded on a transport? That will cost 30 more credits." Katie shook her head. "I will walk it." The worker's crest rose up in surprise. "Walk it, lady. This thing can barely stand. It has not moved on its own in 10 cycles." "Then we will find out if it can," Katie said. She walked around the walker until she found the access panel. Her fingers worked fast. Years of fixing machines had trained her hands well. The panel was rusty, but she got it open. Inside was a mess of old wiring and broken circuits. "Okay," she said to herself. "Let's see what you have left." She worked around 3 blown circuits. She moved power from systems that were not important. She made the reactor send more energy to the legs. It took her 40 minutes. Her hands were black with dirt when she finished. "Try now," she said. Nothing happened for a long moment. Then the walker's eye flickered. A dim red light appeared in it. Weak, but there. The machine's head moved a little. The damaged eye focused on Katie. "That's it," she said with a smile. "Come on, friend." Just a few steps, the walker's right leg lifted. Metal screamed. The joints needed oil badly. The leg came down hard. The floor shook. Then the left leg moved. Another step. Then one more. It was the saddest walk Katie had ever seen. The machine moved like a drunk person. Each step looked like it might be the last. Oil dripped from its joints. Sometimes sparks flew from the wires, but it was walking. Katie walked next to it. She kept one hand on its leg. "That's good. Nice and slow. We are going home." The worker watched them leave. His face showed he could not believe what he was seeing. Behind him, the auctioneer was already working on the next item. He had forgotten about the human girl and her broken machine. Neither of them saw that the war walker's eye never left Katie's face as they walked. They did not notice that its reactor had increased power by 5%, and nobody had told it to do that. Katie's workshop was in the cheapest part of Frontier Station 12. It used to be a cargo bay. There was barely enough room for her tools, her bed, and now a 12-foot-tall war machine. The rent was cheap for good reasons. The gravity did not work right sometimes. The air machines made strange noises. The last person who lived there had been kicked, out for doing illegal experiments, but it was hers. "Welcome home," she said as she guided. The limping walker inside the machine managed to move to the corner she had cleared. Then its legs gave out. It fell into a sitting position. The crash was so loud that neighbors started banging on the walls. "Sorry," Katie shouted. Then she turned back to the walker. Its eye had gone dim again. The red light was barely a spark. The reactor was making a bad whining sound. She spent that first night just looking at it. She made notes. She drew pictures. The walker was a mess, but it was an interesting mess. Corvathian engineering was famous. It was smart and built to last. This machine was 300 years old. It still worked even after all the damage and neglect. Most modern machines would have died long ago. "What did you see?" she said out loud. She looked at the burn marks on its armor. "What battles? What worlds?" She fell asleep at her workbench. Her head rested on her arms. Technical manuals about K-series walkers were scattered around her. Work started the next morning. Katie began with the basics. Oil for the joints, cleaning, running tests. The list of problems was very long. The hydraulic lines had cracks. Power connections were rusted. The targeting computer was completely dead. Armor plating had holes in 17 places. One of the reactor's cooling systems worked at only 20%. "You are a disaster," she told the walker, but her voice was kind. Over the next days, she worked every chance she got. Early mornings before her regular job. Late nights after work. Quick hours during lunch breaks. She could not buy many new parts, so she got creative. She took a hydraulic line from a mining loader. She got power connectors from an old shuttle. She made armor patches from scrap metal and welded them carefully into place. Her grandfather had taught her something important. Good work did not need expensive tools. It needed patience, skill, and respect for what you were fixing. "You are not just a machine," she told the walker as she replaced a broken coolant line. "You are a soldier. You deserve better than what they did to you." On the 5th day, something strange happened. Katie was deep inside the walker's chest. She was fixing a power node. Then she heard something. It sounded like a sigh, or like wind moving through metal hallways. She stopped moving and listened. There it was again. It did not sound mechanical. It sounded almost alive. "Hello?" she called out. Her voice echoed in the small space. The walker's reactor pulsed once. Strong. The lights in her workshop went dim. Then they got bright again. Katie's heart beat fast. "Can you hear me?" Another pulse. The eye in the walker's head glowed brighter. She climbed out of the chest fast. She looked up at the machine's face. The eye was fixed on her. It was not moving randomly anymore. It was focused. "Paying attention. You are aware," Katie said quietly. "You are not just a machine, are you?" The walker did not move. But every feeling Katie had told her that something was looking back at her. She had worked on hundreds of machines, from simple motors to complex AI systems. This felt different. She went back to her research with new energy. 3 nights without sleep later, she found it buried in old Corvathian military records. K-series combat walkers were not purely mechanical. They had what the Corvathians called a neural bridge. This was a biological part. It was grown from the tissue of Corvathian warriors who had died in battle. It let the machine develop something between true AI and simple programming, pattern recognition, adaptation, and in rare cases the record said something close to consciousness. The records also said that neural bridges broke down over time without proper care. After 300 years, most should be dead. Just dead tissue, no more conscious than a rock. But you are not dead, are you? Katie said, looking up at the walker. You are in there. Maybe fading, but still there. She worked harder. The neural bridge needed special nutrients. It needed a certain electrical frequency. It needed careful temperature control. The information was incomplete. Most Corvathian military secrets had been lost when their empire fell 200 years ago. But Katie put it together, bit by bit. She built a nutrient delivery system from medical equipment. She changed the reactor's output to give the right electrical frequency. She put climate controls around the neural bridge chamber. She spent credits she really could not afford. For 3 days, nothing changed. On the 4th day, Katie woke up to find the walker standing, not slumped in the corner. Not fallen, standing straight at attention. Its weight was balanced perfectly on both legs. The eye glowed with steady red light. Katie sat up slowly. Her heart was pounding. Hello? The walker's head turned to face her. The movement was smooth. That had not been possible days ago. The eye pulsed once. It was clearly a greeting. Katie felt tears in her eyes. You are really in there. You are awake. The machine took one careful step forward. Then another. The movements were still slow and careful, but they were nothing like the painful lurching from the auction house. This was controlled. On purpose, Katie stood up and walked over. She held out one hand. The walker lowered its head. It brought the eye close to her. She put her hand on the scarred metal. I am going to fix you, she promised. All the way. You saved soldiers once. You protected people. You deserve to be whole again. The walker's reactor hummed. Katie chose to think it was agreeing. She spent that morning running tests. Her hands flew over her portable computer. The results were amazing. Reactor efficiency had jumped to 42%. Motor response times had improved by 30%. The neural bridge showed activity levels that should not have been possible for its age. You are healing, Katie said quietly. You are actually healing. But there was still so much wrong. The missing plasma cannon, the damaged armor, systems that needed complete replacement, not just repair. Her savings would not cover it. Not even close, Katie sat back thinking. Then she opened the local job boards on her computer. If the walker was going to be whole again, she needed more credits. A lot more credits. That meant she needed work. Dangerous work. The kind that paid well because it might kill you. She found a posting right away. A mining company needed security escorts for convoys. They had to travel through pirate-contested space. High risk, high reward. Katie looked up at the walker. How do you feel about getting back to work? The eye pulsed twice. If a war machine could show eagerness, this one just did. The hiring manager for Consolidated Frontier Mining was a tough human named Jake Bolton. He had a metal arm to replace the real one he had lost. A scar ran from his left ear to his chin. He looked Katie up and down when she walked into his office. His face showed he did not believe in her. You are the security contractor? That is right. His eyes looked past her to the window. Katie's walker stood in the docking bay outside. It had taken her 2 weeks to get it ready for space. She had installed magnetic locks for zero-gravity movement. She had made the hull seals stronger. It still looked like it had been through a war, but it worked. That thing looks like it belongs in a museum, or a scrapyard. That thing, Katie said calmly, is a Corvathian K-series combat walker. It has 300 years of combat experience. It has survived battles your security team cannot even imagine. Jake made a rude sound. Combat experience? Lady, it is a machine. Test us, Katie said. Put us through whatever evaluation you use for security contractors. If we fail, I will walk away. No charge. Something in her voice made Jake stop and think. He looked at her face closely. Then he shrugged. Your funeral. Be at the training grounds in 1 hour, and lady, our evaluation has a 40% failure rate. We do not play nice. 1 hour later, Katie stood in the center of a fake combat arena. The walker stood beside her. Its eye swept the area around them. Jake and 3 other evaluators watched from behind protective barriers. Simple test. Jake's voice came through the speakers. You have 3 combat drones that will try to disable your walker. Kill them without getting hit. You get hit, you fail. Understood, Katie said. The drones appeared. They were fast-flying units with plasma weapons. They moved like angry insects. Katie's stomach felt tight with worry. They were looking for weak spots. Ready when you are, Jake said. Katie closed her eyes for a moment. She centered herself. Then she put her hand on the walker's leg. Show them what you can do. The walker moved. What happened next would become a legend on Frontier Station 12. The walker did not have its plasma cannon. It did not have advanced targeting systems or modern weapons. What it had was 300 years of combat programming, a neural bridge that had fought in wars that would make pirates look like children, and a strange, fierce desire to protect the human girl who had saved it. It moved like nothing Katie had ever seen. Fluid. On purpose. Reading the drone's attack patterns with intelligence that made her catch her breath. When the first drone came in for a shot, the walker stepped aside. It moved with grace that seemed impossible for its size. It grabbed the drone in midair with one metal hand and crushed it like an egg. The second drone tried a different way. It came in low. The walker's leg shot out in a kick. The drone crashed into the arena wall. Before it could recover, the walker was on it. One metal foot came down hard and fast. The third drone held back. It seemed confused. Its flight pattern showed it. This was not matching what it expected. The walker bent its knees slightly. Katie realized what it was about to do half a second before it happened. It jumped. A 12-foot-tall combat walker launched itself into the air. Its powerful legs pushed it up. It caught the drone in midair. It twisted. It landed in a perfect three-point stance with the crushed drone in its hand. The arena was silent. Jake's voice came through the speakers. He sounded shocked. What in the hell was that? Katie smiled. That is a Corvathian K-Series combat walker. Still think it belongs in a scrapyard? They got the contract. 2 days later, Katie and the walker were part of a 6-vehicle convoy. They were heading through the Tanis Corridor. This was a stretch of space known for pirates. The convoy had 4 mining transports, 1 escort ship, and various smaller security vehicles. Katie rode in a small command pod on the walker's back. She had added this herself. It let her pilot the walker remotely or give commands directly. The neural bridge made the walker partly independent, but having a human working with it made the system much more effective. All units keep formation, came the voice of the convoy commander. Her name was Lisa Harper. She sounded stern. We have 3 hours until we reach the safe zone. Stay alert. The first hour passed quietly. Katie used the time to run system checks. She kept one eye on the tactical display. The walker stood in formation with the other security units. Its sensor array swept constantly for threats. The second hour brought tension. Long-range sensors found ship signatures moving next to their course. Not unusual in these sectors, but worrying. Possible pirate scouts, Lisa announced. All security units, weapons ready. Do not fire unless fired upon. Katie's hands moved over her controls. She brought the walker's systems to full combat readiness. They had managed to get a surplus plasma rifle. Not as powerful as a proper cannon, but better than nothing. The walker held it in both hands, ready. The attack came halfway through the third hour. 6 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel right in front of them. Pirate vessels. From light fighters to a medium-class raider. The raider opened fire immediately. Plasma bolts tore into the convoy's lead transport. All units engage, Lisa shouted. Protect the transports. Chaos broke loose. The escort ship fought the raider. They traded fire in a deadly dance. Fighters swarmed around the convoy like angry insects. 2 of the mining transports broke formation. They tried to escape. Pirates chased them. Katie saw one fighter going after a transport. A human family was piloting it. She had met them before the flight started. 2 children were on board. Hold on, she told the walker. The machine did not need to be told twice. It released its magnetic locks. It fired its movement thrusters. It launched itself through space toward the fighter. Zero-gravity combat was crazy and deadly. The walker was magnificent at it. It used its thrusters in tiny bursts, spinning, adjusting, reading the fighter's movements with that strange intelligence. When it was close enough, it fired the plasma rifle. The shot hit the fighter's engine. The pirate ship spun away, dead in space, but there were more. So many more. Katie fought like she had never fought before. Her hands flew over controls. She trusted the walker's combat instincts. They worked together in a way that felt almost like reading minds. The walker moved through the chaos like a dancer, protecting the transports, taking out threats, taking damage but never stopping. A plasma bolt hit its right shoulder. It melted through armor she had carefully repaired. Another hit its leg, sending it spinning. Katie corrected. The walker adjusted. They kept fighting. We have reinforcements coming. Lisa's voice sounded strained but happy. Hold them for 2 more minutes. 2 minutes. Forever in combat. The walker's reactor was in the red zone. Warning lights covered Katie's display. They had taken too much damage. But there, a fighter lining up for a kill shot on the escort ship. The ship was already badly damaged. Katie made a choice. Get him, she said. The walker used the last of its thruster fuel in one huge burn. It launched itself right at the fighter. No weapons. Just 12 feet of scarred, damaged, absolutely furious war machine. They hit. The fighter crumpled. The walker's arms wrapped around the cockpit, crushing it. Metal screamed. And then they were floating. The walker's systems went dark one by one. Emergency power barely kept life support active in Katie's pod. Katie! Katie, respond! Lisa's voice in her ear. We are alive, Katie managed to say. But we are dead in the water. Hang on. Reinforcements are here. The pirates are running. Katie fell back in her seat, shaking. Through the window, she could see the walker's eye. It was barely glowing. Almost dead. She put her hand on the control panel, as if she could touch the machine itself. You did good. You saved them. The eye pulsed once, then went dark. Katie felt tears on her face. No, do not dare. We have come too far. But the walker was silent and still, floating in space like a tomb. The convoy made it to the safe zone 12 hours later. The escort ship was heavily damaged but still working. All 4 transports had survived. 3 security contractors were dead. 5 more were badly injured. Katie and the walker were towed in by a recovery vehicle. The payment for the job was big. Triple pay because of the fight. Katie barely noticed when the credits were sent to her account. She spent 3 days in the station medical bay. She had a concussion and a broken wrist she had not noticed during the fight. The moment the doctors said she could leave, she went straight to the salvage bay where they had put the walker. It looked worse than the day she had bought it. The plasma burns had melted through armor into critical systems. The reactor was completely offline. Both legs were damaged beyond simple repair. The eye was shattered. Coolant and hydraulic fluid leaked from a dozen breaks. It pooled on the deck beneath the machine. I am so sorry, a voice said behind her. Katie turned around. Lisa Harper stood there. The convoy commander. The woman's left arm was in a sling. She had a fresh scar across her forehead. For what? Katie asked. We should not have put you in that situation. You were running a salvaged walker against military-grade pirates. It was suicide. We volunteered. Still, Lisa looked at the broken machine. I wanted to thank you. That family you saved. The transport with the kids. That was my sister and her children. You brought them home. Her voice broke a little, so thank you. For being crazy enough to try. After Lisa left, Katie walked up to the walker. She put her hand on its scarred chest plate, right over where she knew the neural bridge was. I know you are in there, she said quietly. I know you can hear me. We are not done yet. I made you a promise. The metal was cold and dead under her hand. Katie stepped back. She pulled out her data pad and started making a list. The repairs needed were huge. More than anything she had tried before. The cost would be enormous. She did the math 3 times, hoping she had made a mistake. She had not. Even with the convoy payment, she was short. Way short. To bring the walker back to anything close to full function would need parts she could not salvage or make. Original Corvathian parts, or modern equivalents expensive enough to make her eyes hurt. Okay, she said out loud. Okay, think. She spent the next week reaching out to every contact she had. Parts dealers, salvage operators, military surplus auctions. Most laughed when she described what she needed. Corvathian military parts were rare. The Empire had been gone for 200 years. Most of their technology had been lost or destroyed. She was sitting in her workshop one day. Dead-end leads surrounded her. She felt desperate. Then her comm unit pinged unknown sender. She almost deleted it. She thought it was spam. But something made her open it. The message was text only. Heard you are looking for K-Series parts. I can help, V. Martins. Katie stared at the message. It could be a scam. Could be someone trying to use her desperation. Could be dangerous, she replied anyway. Who are you? The answer came fast. Someone who understands what you are trying to do. Meet me at Dock 7 Alpha tomorrow. Aero 900 hours. Come alone. Katie did not tell anyone where she was going. Probably stupid. But she was past caring about smart choices. Dock 7 Alpha was in the industrial section of the station. Katie arrived 10 minutes early. Her hand rested on the plasma pistol hidden in her jacket. The dock was mostly empty. A few idle loading machines, some stacked cargo containers, harsh lights that made deep shadows. A figure came out from behind a container. Human. Male. Probably in his 60s. Gray hair. He stood like a military man even in civilian clothes. He had a scar along his jaw. His eyes looked like they had seen terrible things. Katie Morrison? He asked. Vincent Martins? He nodded. Call me Vince, thank you for coming. You said you could help me. I can. I have access to a storage of Corvathian military equipment. Enough to fully restore your walker. Katie's heart beat fast. Why would you help me? You do not even know me. Vince was quiet for a moment. 20 years ago, I commanded a unit that worked with Corvathian walkers. Before the Empire fell, back when they were still trading with humans. Those machines were not just equipment to us. They were partners. And when the Empire collapsed, we had to leave them behind. Every one of my people who worked with the walkers mourned them like fallen soldiers. He pulled out a datapad. He showed her a photo. A younger Vince stood next to a K-series walker. His hand rested on its leg. He was smiling at the camera. I heard about what you did on that convoy, how your walker fought until it had nothing left, how you have been working yourself to death trying to save it. He looked at her eyes. That kind of loyalty deserves support. Katie felt her throat tighten. I cannot afford to pay you. I am not selling, Vince said. I am giving. On one condition. What? When your walker is whole again, you let me see it. Let me say hello. I would like to meet a warrior who is still fighting after all these years. Katie could not speak. She just nodded. Vince smiled. Good. I will have the parts delivered to your workshop. Everything you need. And Katie, you are doing something important. Do not let anyone tell you different. The parts arrived the next day. Katie opened the crates with shaking hands. Reactor parts, armor plating, hydraulic systems, a complete eye array, and there, in the biggest crate, a plasma cannon, not modern but original Corvathian military hardware. Perfect and pristine. She got to work. The restoration took 3 months. Katie worked every hour she could, and many she could not. She replaced damaged systems. She upgraded old parts. She made the armor stronger with modern metals. She rebuilt the neural bridge chamber from scratch. She installed the best life support systems she could find. She worked with the focus of someone performing surgery, because that was what it was, not repair. Surgery. Bringing something back from the edge of death. On the 90th day, at 3 in the morning, Katie installed the last part. The new eye. She stepped back. She was covered in grease and coolant. She was tired beyond measure. Okay, she said. Let's see if this works. She started the startup sequence. The reactor hummed to life, strong and steady. Systems turned on one by one. Each green light on her test panel felt like a small miracle. Hydraulics pressurized, power distribution normalized, neural bridge chamber stabilized, the walker's head raised. Its eye glowed, not the dim red of before, a brilliant blue that filled the workshop with cool light. It stood, smoothly, perfectly, 12 feet of combat-ready war machine, armor gleaming, weapon systems online, moving with grace that made Katie catch her breath. The walker looked down at her. The eye pulsed once, slowly. Katie had spent enough time with it to know what that meant. Thank you. Welcome back, Katie said quietly. The walker knelt down. It lowered itself until its eye was level with Katie's face. She reached out. She put both hands on its armored head. You are whole again, she said. You are beautiful. The walker's systems hummed together. A sound almost like purring. Katie laughed. Tears ran down her face. She hugged the machine's head as tight as she could. Behind them, watching through the workshop's outside camera, Vince Martins smiled. Then he turned away, leaving the girl and her warrior to their reunion. News of Katie's walker spread through the frontier stations faster than she expected. Within a week, she was getting offers. Mercenary companies wanted to hire them. Private collectors wanted to buy the walker. Military historians wanted to study it. Katie turned them all down. "We are not for sale," she told the 5th recruiter that week, "and we are not mercenaries." "Then what are you?" the recruiter asked. He seemed truly confused. Katie looked at the walker. It stood in the corner of her workshop. Its blue eye watched her work. "We are figuring that out." The answer came 2 weeks later. It came in the form of a distress call. Katie was adjusting the walker's targeting systems. Then the station-wide emergency broadcast came to life. A mining colony on the moon of Theta Kepler 7 was under attack by raiders. The colony had almost no defenses. 200 civilians. No way to escape before the raiders arrived. The nearest military help was 4 hours away. The raiders would be there in 1 hour. Katie looked at the walker. The machine's eye focused on her right away. She thought about the Corvathian soldiers who had ridden this walker into battle 300 years ago. She thought about her grandfather's stories. Cavalry horses charging into impossible situations to save lives. She thought about the choice she had made. To buy a broken machine at auction instead of walking away. "Want to be heroes?" she asked. The walker's reactor surged. Its weapon systems turned on. It took one step forward, then another. Moving to the center of the workshop and standing at attention, Katie smiled. "Yeah, that is what I thought." 20 minutes later, they launched from the station in a rented transport shuttle. 30 minutes after that, they dropped from orbit onto Theta Kepler 7. The walker's magnetic landing systems absorbed the impact perfectly. The colony was small, a cluster of living domes and mining buildings on a bare, rocky moon. Katie could see the raider ships coming. 3 light cruisers and a dozen fighters. Way more than one walker and one mechanic should even try to fight. "We just need to hold them for 3 hours," Katie said. She ran final system checks. "Help is coming. We just need to buy time." The walker walked toward the colony's edge. It put itself between the living domes and the incoming raiders. Katie opened a comm channel to the colony. "This is Katie Morrison. We are here to help. Get everyone into the reinforced shelters and seal them. Do it now." "Who are you?" came a panicked voice. "Someone who is really bad at walking away from a fight." "Move!" The raiders landed 2 minutes later. Their ship set down in a rough circle around the colony. Armored soldiers poured out. 40, maybe 50 of them, carrying military-grade weapons. Their leader was a Krell. Half his body was covered with metal upgrades. He turned on an outside speaker. "Colony of Theta Kepler 7, give us your resources and people. Fighting us is pointless." The walker stepped forward. It put itself right in the raiders' path. Its plasma cannon powered up. The sound was like distant thunder. The Krell leader stared at the war machine. "A single walker? You dare to stand against us?" The walker fired. Not at the Krell, at the ground between them. A warning shot that left a glowing hole of melted rock. Katie's voice came through the walker's outside speakers. "This is Corvathian Combat Walker Designation, KR-7744. It has fought in 300 years of wars across dozens of systems. It has killed thousands of enemies. It has never been defeated in battle." She stopped. "Leave now, or become numbers," the Krell laughed. "You are bluffing. One walker, no matter how old, cannot stand against us." The walker moved. What happened next would be talked about on the frontier stations for years. The walker fought like something possessed, like every battle it had ever fought had been building to this moment. It used the ground, used its speed, used 3 centuries of combat knowledge against enemies who had never faced anything like it. It never missed. Every shot from its plasma cannon found a target. Every movement was efficient and perfect. When raiders tried to get around it, the walker predicted them. When they tried to work together, it broke their communications with targeted electric pulses. Katie rode in her command pod. Her hands were steady on the controls. Her mind linked to the walker systems in a way she could not fully explain. She could feel what it felt, know what it needed. They moved as one. 30 minutes into the battle, half the raiders were down. The Krell leader was screaming orders. His plans were falling apart against an opponent that refused to follow normal patterns. "It is one machine," he roared. "Kill it!" They tried. They hit the walker with everything they had. Plasma fire, rockets, magnetic pulse weapons. The walker's armor held. The damage was absorbed by the reinforced plating Katie had installed. When its shields failed, it adapted. It used destroyed raider vehicles as cover, moving constantly, never giving them a clean shot. 1 hour into the battle, the raiders broke. They ran back to their ships, leaving their dead and wounded behind. The Krell leader was the last to go. His metal eye was fixed on the walker, with something that might have been fear. "What are you?" "He sent on an open channel," Katie answered. Her voice was tired but firm. "We are what happens when you threaten innocent people." The raider ships launched, disappearing into the black sky of Theta Kepler 7. The walker stood alone in the center of the battlefield, surrounded by the remains of combat. Its armor was scarred but whole, its weapons still hot. The blue eye swept the area once, confirming all threats were gone. Then it dimmed to a softer glow. Katie climbed out of the command pod. She slid down the walker's leg to the ground. Her legs were shaking. Her hands were trembling. She leaned against the walker's leg, trying to understand what they had just done. The colonists came out of their shelters, staring at the war machine that had saved them. A woman walked over carefully. A child held her hand. "Thank you," she said simply. Katie managed a tired smile. "Thank this guy. I just drive." The military help arrived 2 hours later. They secured the area. They documented the battle. They recorded statements. The commanding officer was a stern-faced woman named Colonel Peters. She walked the battlefield with a look of disbelief. She found Katie sitting on the walker's foot, eating a ration bar and drinking water. "That was you?" Peters asked. "One walker? Against 50 armed raiders?" "Not just me, us." Katie patted the walker's leg. Peters looked up at the war machine. "I have read the combat reports. What your walker did today should have been impossible. The tactical efficiency, the response times, the pure combat capability." She shook her head. "This is a 300-year-old machine. It should be in a museum." "It was in an auction house," Katie said, "getting sold for scrap. Nobody wanted it, and now—" Katie stood up. She put her hand on the walker's leg. The machine responded. Its eye focused on her with clear attention. Now it is home. Now it has purpose. Now it is exactly where it is supposed to be. Peters was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "We could use someone like you. The military, the peacekeeping forces. Name your price." "I am not joining the military," Katie said. "Neither is my walker." "Then what will you do?" Katie looked up at the machine, at the scars on its armor that told the story of countless battles, at the gentle way it lowered its head when she touched it. She thought about the auction house, about the laughter when she had bought a broken war machine, about the journey from that moment to this one. "We will help people," she said. "When someone is in trouble and there is no one else, we will be there. We will be the cavalry." Peter smiled slightly. "The cavalry. I like that. But cavalry units usually have more than one rider. Then maybe we will grow. For now it is just us, and that is enough." 3 months later, Katie stood in her workshop. It was now upgraded and properly equipped. Paid for by grateful colonists and a few good investments, she watched the walker go through combat drills. Its movements were perfect. Its systems running at peak efficiency. Every scar had a story. Every dent was a memory. But there were new marks, too. Awards welded to its chest plate. Thank you messages carved into its armor by children it had protected. Paint marks where grateful civilians had left handprints. Each one a life saved, a family protected. A moment when one human girl and one ancient war machine had stood between the innocent and harm. The walker finished its drill. It returned to rest position. Its eye found Katie immediately. She walked over. She put her hand on its chest plate, right over the neural bridge chamber, where its heart lived. "If a machine could have a heart, remember when you were just scrap?" she said, "when they laughed at both of us?" The eye pulsed. Of course it remembered. "Look at us now." The workshop door opened. Vince Martins came in. A young man Katie did not know followed him. The stranger looked nervous. He held a datapad close to his chest. "Katie," Vince said, "this is Chris Baker. He has something you should see." Chris stepped forward. His eyes were fixed on the walker. Katie recognized that look, all mixed with hope. "I have been tracking sales of K-Series parts. There are 3 more walkers out there, in various states of broken, scattered across different stations. I know where they are." Katie's heart jumped. 3 more? "They are like yours was, broken, abandoned, no one wants them." Chris looked at her. "But if you could save one, maybe you could save others." Katie looked up at her walker. The machine's eye was already glowing brighter, as if it understood what was being offered. Not just survival, not just purpose, but family. "Show me," Katie said. As Chris pulled up the data on his pad, the walker stood to its full height, standing proud and ready. Through the workshop window, the stars glittered against the black of space. Somewhere out there, 3 more ancient warriors waited in darkness. Discarded and forgotten, but not for long, Katie Morrison smiled. She put her hand on her walker's leg and started making plans. They had started with one broken machine and a foolish hope. Now they had purpose, skill, and a mission. The cavalry was coming, and they always brought their brothers home.